Hello, ladies and gentle ladies. Welcome back to another Railroad development stream. It has been a very long time since we've last done Railroad. I honestly don't even remember when we last did Railroad. Let's have a quick look. I think it was a really long time ago, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm quickly just going to have a look because I am now curious. So, last time we did Railroad was over 4 weeks ago. And that was when we were working on the Gradle integration. So, the 19th of December. So, almost exactly a month ago. Which is kind of crazy. Now, I think the next thing we need to consider trying to do. So, what we're currently working on, by the way, or what I'm currently working on, and what I have been working on, is the console pane. Now, admittedly, I haven't touched it in the past few weeks, so I'm going to be very unfamiliar with the code. I'm just going to let you guys know that now. But let's run it and see how it functions, because I don't even remember how far I got with this. So, we're going to see. And I'm going to say off the bat, by the way, I haven't written this actual UI pane myself. I did all of the modeling behind it, so I did all of this, all of the services, I did the ANSI parser, I did all of that, but the actual pane itself, I was completely lost on how to do, so our good friend did that for me. So I guess that's the main part we want to test today, and we'll probably have to fix a bunch because I suspect it won't work off the bat, but well, I don't even know where we got to last time, so we'll have to figure that out first, but we have to open the tutorial mod. I want to open Industria, but we can't because that's Java 25, and currently Railroad only supports Java 21. Shouldn't be too hard to fix in the future, of course, but that is a current problem as of right now. So if we go ahead and just run the run client task. Okay, so it's kind of worked, right? Kind of? But not quite. I mean, everything is here. In terms of like styling, obviously, I think that's going to be the hard part, getting it to style correctly. So in theory, this should use the kind of colors that Gradle defines them to be, right? Because it uses ANSI. That's kind of the entire point. Which is why I'm a little bit confused with some of this. So obviously these being bolded, like that's normal. This being red, that's normal. These I feel like should be colored. I'm not sure why they're not colored. I guess the best way to find out would be to have a look, right? To go into the tutorial mod in IntelliJ and just see what happens. Obviously I haven't opened it in a long time, so we'll probably have to do some Gradle reloads and whatnot shenanigans, but that's probably the best way to find out what it looks like. Now, whether we do just the console today, I don't know, because I have a feeling we are going to get a little bit stuck with it today. Just off my initial view at it, before I started the stream. But we're going to try for at least maybe half an hour, and we'll see where it goes from there. This, are you done yet? No. Yes. so... Okay. Got some good old milk today as well. I usually have my water bottle, but I actually just can't find it. So that's always great. But milk's good. Love milk. One of my favorite beverages. Okay, let's get rid of some of these shenanigans. They always pop up. Can't get rid of them. They always just come back in every single project, even though they're not relevant to this project. We'll keep Copilot chat though. Resource manager, that's an Android thing. Yeah, you just don't need to be there. Whatever, everything else is fine. Okay, so if we run that in here, let's see what this looks like. Yeah, you can see this is different. So immediately you can see like these are colored. These are colored. Things like these links here to the code, that's gonna be a whole thing. I don't know how we're gonna do that. URLs should be doable, I think, but I mean, most of this should just be ANSI. That's obviously not working. The other interesting thing is that has actually like ran, but if we run it in Railroad, oh, we're actually running server. Interesting. We should be running client. That could be partially related. Yeah, it also doesn't wipe the console or create a new console window, but that's like a later thing. First, we just want to get the actual console working, and then we can figure that out. Wait, what has that even done? That hasn't done... Okay, we might have to restart. It's obviously not perfect, needless to say. And what we will need to do at some point is get that text actually, the color of the text actually controlled by the theme. Right now, it just uses... Where is it? It is in here, right? Where is it? Is it actually in? No, it's not going to be in there, right? It is probably in the actual console pane, I imagine. Where is the console pane, by the way? Is it in here? Where would it have put that? UI? Ah, okay. I think that's where it was originally. Like the old console pane. But it was just a text area. I think that's where that was. Yeah, so it's just doing 2CSS color. I mean, that should work, but... Okay, so... let's run this one. Yeah, so then we have to actually press the run button. Okay. Okay, so obviously some things are actually coloring. See, why is that running server though? I'm explicitly pressing run client and it's doing run server. What we can try, I guess we can't see exactly what this says. This could still be the run server one selected, maybe. And hence, oh, you can't see it. Forgot about that. I always forget that it's not on this monitor. Actually, that's a good point. Let's quickly do this. And then do... That's not really going to work, actually, is it? Okay, never mind. We'll just have to have it on this monitor. So yeah, that, like, you can't see which one is actually selected. So it could just be run server that is actually selected. So let's try just do run client manually, maybe. I mean, it should run. Like, there's no reason why it shouldn't run. Okay. Yeah, so this obviously isn't quite right. In the way that it is just like repeating run client a bunch of times. Like, everything else, I mean, that looks fine, I would say. But yeah, this obviously isn't right, because if we go back to IntelliJ, I mean, do we even see that at all in IntelliJ? I don't think we do, right? Because it doesn't stay. So immediately, I think we're as I said, I think we're gonna get a bit stuck here. Now, luckily, I do have backups prepared for this stream if this console stuff doesn't pan out. There are other things we can obviously work on. There's tons of things we can work on. So we're not just like stuck or stuffed if this doesn't work. What if I do that? What does that do? Okay, so that just interesting. If we can't get this to work, I think the next best thing we can work on would probably just be probably the plugin API, I think. Which admittedly is going to be a pain to work on. Because that's going to be a ton of Gradle stuff. Other than that, I mean, there's got to be other things we can work on. I'm going to quickly have a look at the GitHub projects and just see if we can point anything out. Okay, first of all, okay, I need to move some stuff across that haven't been moved across already. Some things just haven't been moved. Yeah, that's all fine. Okay, that's the console tab actually isn't even in the projects. I can show you this, can't I? Yeah. Okay, this says is in pro. Oh no, that's to do. Never mind. Yeah, that's correct. That is still in the to do section. So yeah, I mean, basically these are the main things. Everything else, I think we're going to get a little bit stuck with. I mean, Index Manager we could do. That would involve writing a pretty complex system, and it wouldn't be in Railroad itself. That would probably be part of something like Switchboard. But it is very important, so that is certainly something we could consider doing. Redoing the keybind system is also quite important because it just doesn't work, or like it does work but it's not great, and it could definitely do with a rewrite, as kind of all of this discussed is here. License summaries is there just needs to be some kind of summary accessible for a license. In IDE code examples, in the IDE, there could be event as a list of tutorials that are published on the docs. Yeah, I think that's out of scope at the moment. We don't want to worry about that. Last open project. This is something that, like, would be nice. This guy said, yeah, this guy said he was going to work on this. He never did, though. I mean, that shouldn't be too hard. I'm kind of tempted to just leave that for someone else to do it, because that shouldn't be hard to do at all. So I'm not too worried about that for now. A VCS system would be good, but obviously that's a ton of work, right? This is an insane amount of work, and I don't know that it's necessarily necessary. That doesn't make any sense, but I don't think it's super important right now. I mean, we could do it. I can't imagine it would be too hard. And that would basically involve either. So the first step, of course, would be locating the Git executable on your computer. So if you already have it, then it would locate that. Otherwise, we would need to have a way to download that, which I don't think should be too hard. And then beyond that, I mean, it's just doing stuff with the Git executable, right? So just running those commands and having the necessary wrappers for them. The other option, of course, is that we use... actually, I'm going to open the stream browser for this. So the other option, of course, is that we use Eclipse eGit, which is basically what Eclipse uses for the Git integration. It's basically a big Java library for interfacing with Git. But I mean, that's probably good. It sounds powerful, but I think it also would end up becoming limited. And once we hit that limit, I don't think we would be able to move beyond it without directly like forking eGit, which isn't ideal. So I think we want to try and refrain from using that, at least for now. Also, I'm going to just move this into the stream browser so that we can access that here. So we could work on this, but there's obviously a lot of work. The other thing that's not on here that we do need to do at some point is downloading JDKs. So we have the whole JDK manager where we can locate JDKs, we can add new JDKs, we can do all of that, but we don't have a way to download new JDKs. That shouldn't be too hard, I don't believe. I think they all have APIs. So for example, Eclipse Temarin API. I imagine it does exist, or like it's called Adoptium now, isn't it? Adoptium API. Swagger UI. Let's see. Yeah. So that allows you to get checksums. I assume somewhere. I mean, there doesn't look like a way to directly actually get the JDK, but oh no, you can actually just get the installer. There you go. So that would actually work. We could certainly do that. And I imagine the same will be true for the other ones as well. So for example, Amazon Zulu, I think it is, API. It is Amazon, right? No, not Zulu. Azul. Or wait, which one is it? It's something like this. Is it Azul? Azul. Is that the one? Bro, what's the JDK called? Oh my god. It's got a Z in it. That's all I know. How can I find out? Well, if I go into the settings, we should be able to find. Because I probably have one downloaded somewhere. I actually don't know. In that case, we can have a look in the JDK class and do a brand, and then Azul, which is Zulu. Okay, I was right. I thought I was going crazy, but it's not Amazon. So Amazon is Amazon Corretto. Right. Okay. I see. So we already have the browser open. I don't know what I'm doing. So Zulu JDK API. Does that exist? This probably. Zulu. I'm not sure this is. Yeah, this isn't being consistently updated, is it? No, so that's not really viable. I imagine we can probably just use a URL for a lot of these. Like I suspect, select, say, Java 25, select Windows, and say ARM 64. I suspect there is a specific link that would allow us to get to this zip file. I don't know if we can paste it in and find out. Interesting. So that actually uses a UID. One second. I'm curious if that came across on the network tab, because that obviously did something, right? So, the alternative, of course, is that we just look at what IntelliJ does, right? Because obviously IntelliJ is open source. Here it is. Here it is. This is the request they made to get that zip file. So, yeah. I mean, we could basically replicate this URL pretty simple. So Zulu, and then it'd be the version. Don't know exactly what the version is. Is that? I guess that's the Zulu version. So we would have to find that out somehow. And then CA. Not sure what that is. And then that's obviously the specific JDK version. That's the operating system. That's the architecture. This is the file type. So that could be done. As long as we can get the Zulu version, which I imagine is possible somehow. And what else do you have? You've got Oracle. Oracle, I bet, is not easy. Oracle JDK API. It's the kind of thing that Oracle would not make easy because they want the friggin' money. But I could be wrong. Looks like I am wrong. So what does this give? Yeah. That's actually, I mean, that hasn't given us a URL to the specific JDK, like to the zip file or anything, but I imagine there's a way to construct said URL from this data. There's actually quite a lot of stuff here. And this one, here you go. So this one allows you to get a download URL and a checksum URL. So, and even a command. I mean, that's basically perfect, actually. So W Oracle for once. We'll give that to Oracle. What else? Amazon Corretto JDK API. I don't know if that's the right thing to Google. It might not be the best way to Google it, but... So, I mean, it's going to exist somewhere. So apparently this is where the downloads live. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, so if we look at like, if we go platform, we go Windows. So this MSI file, yeah, you look at the URL. So you can see the URL down here at the on you. You actually can't because my face is in the way. If I do this and then go over, oh, now I can't actually see the thing. But if I hover over that, you can see in the bottom left down there, this is the URL we would use. So that's actually super simple. That's very easy to download that one. And once again, all of these are going to be very similar to do that. So that's something we could do today. Now, I have in the background, whilst we've been going through this, I have been asking ChatGPT to figure out our issue. And it has come up with a solution. So we're going to try it and see what happens. It reckons the issue was to do with not saving not being able to restore the cursor, which I think does make sense. That's not something I actually implemented when I originally did the console like model and stuff, so that could have been the problem, but we'll see. So we'll just wait for this. I am kind of tempted to start on the Git stuff today, but it's a lot of work, so I don't know we want to do that. There's also a lot of UI. Well, I guess it's not that much UI, but it's a lot of conditional UI. I think that's better, isn't it? I think that has actually worked. I think that's worked. Let's once again try run client, because that's the one we'll know more about, whether that works or not. No. I mean, kind of. Like, I saw for a second it kind of worked. But yeah, you can see it's obviously not perfect. Yeah, I don't know how we're going to solve this today, guys. So I think let's actually skip out on this for a little while. And I would be better figuring this out between streams, I think. Bearing in mind, ChatGPT wrote this class. I will have to understand this class again. Or I say again, I will have to understand this class. I don't think this class is actually the issue, because this is just basically applying all the styles, and the styles themselves aren't going to be the issue of why. I assume backspace isn't working, because it's not deleting the lines, maybe. Well, I guess if it sets the cursor, then setting the cursor should then overwrite the next span, but it's obviously not doing that, so... hello Wide, welcome. Yes, a railroad stream is here, and we are trying to decide what we're going to work on today. So the next thing here is debug mode. We're not going to do that. I'm just going to tell you that now. We're not doing it today. Auto update, once again, not doing that. That's very far away. MBT editor, what is blocking you? Is it SST? Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah, and then all of these are blocked by different things. Are you done with the console window? No. It kind of works, but it has some problems, and I don't know how to fix the problems. So we're going to leave that and deal with that another time. So we're trying to find something else we can work on today, which I think we are split. Well, we have three options right now. We have Option 1 is we work on the Git integration, which is going to be a massive task, right? That's going to take weeks and weeks, months maybe even. But at least we can get something working fairly quickly with that, I believe. Option 2 is downloading JDKs and like installing them and stuff. And then option 3 is the index manager. So basically what that means is having like a central repository for all the plugins that Railroad has, all the themes Railroad has, all the project templates that Railroad has, and basically giving Railroad itself direct access to those repositories. I think the only problem with that is we don't have a format for project templates, and we don't have a format for plugins, because plugins will have to be redone. So I think we'll probably skip out on that, just because we'd basically have to rewrite a lot of it in the near future anyways, so not sure we want to start that yet. Downloading JDKs doesn't sound too bad. Why don't you bash that out and get it done? Yeah, I would tend to agree that that's probably the easiest one. It's just a question of like, what's the most impactful one, you know? Is there really a scenario where downloading JDKs has any form of impact right now? I'm not sure it does, whereas Git integration has a lot of impact. You know, JDKs even we could not download JDKs even in like MVP, right? It's very much a quality of life thing. I don't think IntelliJ even had that until fairly recently. Like I think it was only a couple years ago. I don't think that's always been in IntelliJ either. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the case. Yeah, indexes, I think that's out of the question. So do we do Git? I don't think Git will actually be that hard. It sounds like a lot of work, but at least for the basic, like, important things, right? So being able to fetch, being able to pull, being able to commit, being able to merge, being able to init, and being able to... what am I missing? Rebase, I guess. I think that's it, right? That's like the major things. Have I forgotten something? I guess like set a remote or branches, I guess, so switch branch. But I don't think any of those are hard things to do. Yeah, the only thing I don't know is like, how should we do it? Like, should we run the command line, or should we actually like rewrite Git in Java? You know, that's the question, and I actually don't know the answer. There is also, by the way, there is a JGit, which is JGit actually is what Eclipse uses. So eGit is like, I guess internally, I think what JGit uses. So we don't really want to use that. There is another one though. Yeah, so JGit, you can see here, is actually a pure implementation of the Git version control system. I just don't know whether that's a good idea or not. I'm curious what IntelliJ does. Should we have a quick chat with Big Man ChatGPT, guys, and try and find out what IntelliJ does? Actually, I think I can open ChatGPT on here. No, oops. Am I not logged in? No, I'm not. Okay. I think I am on maybe like dev browser actually. Not on here. Okay. So, or maybe Gemini is better off for this task. I think it's fine. How does IntelliJ handle Git integration? Does it use a library like JGet? Does it manually execute the Git binary? Or does it use its own custom Git implementation? Let's find out. Okay, so okay, that's what I thought. So it does just execute to get executable. JGet does not behave like 100% native Git. Interesting. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So for a implementation, obviously you'd have to implement it one-to-one to native Git, and I guess that's just not easy to do. So okay, that's fine then. Yeah, so obviously the hard part then is just actually parsing what Git gives you back. So, you know, for example, when you run, like if you want to get the current Git branch, you know, you have to run Git branch and then pass whatever response Git is giving you. But okay, but so we can do that then. So, right, I'm going to close this. I'm going to open, actually going to reopen the stream browser, and then I'm going to go to the railroad project. Here we go, and then I'm going to go to the get VCS thing. Okay, so if we're going to do this, then let's start off. I need to also okay, 1 second. I need to quickly go YouTube, and I need to rename the live stream if we're gonna change what we're doing today. Oh, as I said yesterday, by the way, guys, this is going to be a shorter stream than usual. Probably about the same length as yesterday, so probably like 3 hours instead of 4. Okay, I can't figure out how to friggin' rename the stream. Here we go. So we want VCS configuration save. Okay, that's that. So I'm gonna put that on my other monitor. Okay, and I'm gonna put this on my other monitor as well. Okay, and then I'm gonna need to commit everything I have here. And then we'll go from there. So let's go railroad. Need to undo that real quick. Okay, this is fine for now. commit that, and I'm also going to push it as well, because I think this is on my fork anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to dev, and I'm quickly going to make a new branch. And we're going to call this feature slash VCS integration. Okay, and publish that. And IntelliJ should now update to see that we are on that. Nice. Okay. So. The way we want to start with this is we need to define like an abstract VCS system, right? Because there are different VCS systems. So there isn't obviously just Git. You also have SVN and what's the other one? It begins with an M, I think. Mercurial, that's it. Which I think are the three main ones. I don't think there's any other major ones. Oh, Perforce, yeah, that's the other one. Realistically, we only need to worry about Git. But if we can kind of abstract out the system so you can kind of just choose which one you want, I think that would be better. We also need to decide, do we want Git to be done via a plugin? If so, we actually can't work on this today, because we would need to do the plugin system first. So let me get rid of these. Get rid of you. Okay, because we don't want all this Android shenanigans. This is not necessary. Okay. I think we're just gonna have Git enabled by default. There isn't much point making a plugin for it. So, wait 1 second. Let me just quickly do this. 1 second. There you go. Okay. Yeah, I don't see much point in making it a plugin. And eventually we can obviously, if we wanted to, we could extract it out into a plugin, and that wouldn't be too much work. I think right now all of our VCS stuff is in Railroad Core. So maybe even we want to consider just yeeting Railroad Core, right? Before doing VCS integration. But then that would probably break a bunch of things. So maybe we don't want to do that quite yet. Yeah, we actually probably don't want to do that quite yet. Okay. Because what do we have in here? Okay, so we have our VCS profile. We have profile type, abstract connection, repository types, and then we've got repository. Right. So, yeah, and this happens from an abstract connection. Okay. So, question, does... Now, the only thing I'm not sure in terms of how VCS works is, like, does something like SVN have the concept of a commit, right? Okay, it seems no. In that case, I think let's not bother trying to abstract things. In fact, should we just not even I'm tempted to just not even bother with yeah, like I'm tempted to just not even bother trying to abstract it, to be honest. Like, who in their right mind is ever, and I mean ever, going to use something like SVN for Minecraft modding instead of Git? It's not going to happen. Like, it's genuinely, I don't think there is probably, it's just not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Now, when it comes to Git, obviously there's different providers which we can support. So GitHub, Bitbucket, whatever. Which is fine. Like, that's not kind of relevant because everything we're going to be doing is going to be Git generally, not like the providers. But yeah, I don't think there's any need to have these different repository types. So I'm just going to actually just delete this. And I'm going to get rid of it here. And I'm going to get rid of it here. Because it just doesn't need to exist, quite frankly. And those aren't used in any of these, are they? No. So it's literally just not necessary. And I imagine in here, there's nothing. Yeah. Okay. So repository manager. This implements a VCS service. Oh, that's a plugin thing. Oh, fucking plugins, man. Why did I decide to... The way I've done plugins is just fucked everything over, man. There's just no need for it. Okay. Where do we use this? Do we use this even? So we only use this as a service. And then that just grabs the profiles from there. So honestly, Service for managing version control profiles and repository listing, repository adding VCS profiles. I think we could just get rid of this. Yeah. Just get rid of it. It just doesn't need to exist. And then instead we can just do everything in here. Right? So, although this is managing actual repositories, isn't it? 1 second. I just realized this is actual repositories. It's the repository manager. So this wouldn't be used to actually manage a specific repository. Okay. That's fine then. So in that case, everything we want is actually going to be in the repository class itself. The only thing we will want to do in here, I guess it's actually not in here, but we're going to want a way to do the whole Git thing, right? So to actually download that Git binary. Now, I don't know necessarily the best way to do that. I mean, what Git binary? System located. I mean, we can probably find it on the path, right? And obviously, like, the default path, I think, is just in your user folder, I think. Okay. Trying to see if there's any, like, easy way to do this. Okay, I think a good start would be to just add the setting for it. Yeah, let's start with that. We'll go from there. Once we have the setting, then we can go ahead and try and actually, like, discover the default one and whatnot. So let's go settings. Let's go settings. And go down to the very bottom. Let's go public static final. This will be a setting of a path. And this will be the... Let me move my mic out of the way. This will be the... I'm trying to think, like, what do we want to call this? This will be the get executable... Yeah, I'm gonna do VCS. Okay. Then this will be setting codecs dot get executable path, because we're gonna want a custom one. And that way we can then have the, like, download button and whatnot. Obviously a rewrite of the setting system would be significantly helpful here, but, you know, can't have everything. So setting codec of a path, which will be a Bro, everything needs a rewrite. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Well, not everything needs a rewrite. Like the things that need the rewrite. So the settings needs a rewrite, keybinds needs a rewrite, and plugin manager or plugins in general needs a rewrite. I think that's it. There isn't anything else that, like, needs a rewrite right now. And obviously Railroad Core needs to be ditched, but that's kind of part of the plugin rewrite, because that only exists because of plugins, right? So, you know, when plugins are rewritten, that will inevitably just need to be rewritten, just because that's how it is. But yeah, I mean, so not everything needs a rewrite. I mean, I guess there are other things that, like, will need rewriting, but that's mainly because they're, like, a temporary system. So, for example, the biggest example I can think of that is project templates. So, how projects are, like, actually created is a temporary system. It was never meant to be a final system, because it was just temporary until we have some kind of project templating system, which is a future thing, because that relies on the SST, which is not done yet, which I need to come back to at some point. It's just very scary. So yeah, like, that was never meant to be a perfect system. Is this fine? I'm just trying to see what this is actually. Yeah, I think that's all fine. And I mean, there's other things that aren't, like, there's a lot of things that also, like, aren't perfect. They're more just, like, get them working kind of thing. Best thing of that is, like, run configurations. Like, run configurations aren't perfect. They're not, you know, amazing, but they also weren't designed to be amazing. They were just designed so we have run configurations, rather than, okay, let's write a perfect run configuration system, because the problem with that is it requires so many other things. So, you know, it's unfortunately not as simple as just, you know, as we would want it to be. But I mean, that is how it is, right? Okay, we want an object property of a path, which would be the path, which is a new simple object property. Okay. So what does this need to take in? So that needs to take in a path. Okay, I see. And then that will just call the setter. That's fine. We obviously need a getter. We need that, and then we need that as well. Okay, nice. Auto JSON login string. Yeah, that's fine. JSON is equal null. What this needs to actually be is JSON is equal null, or JSON dot is JSON null, like that. That's fine though. Can't this be a new JSON string? No, apparently not. Is that because this? Oh, I guess right, because this just stores like an object or something, right? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so that's basically all of that, which is fine. Now, obviously, we do want to have it automatically just detects that on load. So I'm not sure exactly how to do that. I guess the best way is just to look at what JDKs do and go from there. So I think the way that works is JDK Manager, when it does the initial discovery, yeah, it does JDKs.add all, blah, blah, blah. Which happens in here. Oh, right, this doesn't actually add it to the settings, but that's fine because it doesn't necessarily need to. Okay, so what we want to do, I'm just trying to think of the best way to actually do this. Because this is meant to be the UI class, right? So we shouldn't really have any like functionality in here per se. That should delegate to other things. What it might be nice to have in that case is some kind of just like Git manager, which kind of does all of that for us. So we'll do Git manager instance. We'll make this a final class, and we'll give it a private constructor as well. Are you complaining? I don't know. It's fine. Okay. So we probably want to do okay, so we need to think about the actual UI here, right? What do we want? So we basically want we want a text field, and on the right of the text field we want a browse button. And then maybe to the right of that, we just have a download button or something, I guess. Or maybe, yeah, I guess that's probably it, right? So I think let's make it this instead an RRH box. Yeah. That's probably how I would do it. I'd make it a H box. And then we can just have them all horizontally in a row. So what we can do is we can do private, final, our text field, which will be the path field, and then a private, final, our browse button. Is that not a thing? Do we just have a browse button then? We do. Okay. Which will be the browse button. I think that also doesn't take in anything. Yeah. Okay. So path field set editable. No, we do want it to be editable. It's not going to be anything special, to be honest. The path field. Now, I don't know how the browse button works, so I'm just going to bring this to my other monitor. And then we can kind of just look at... Or I can look at this and see how to actually use it. Okay, I see. So we can do text field property, and we can set that to be the path field. We can set the type to be a file, and then we can set the default location to be, sure, path.getParent. Only problem is that could be null, and I reckon it's worth annotating that as such. Path is equal to null or null, because I think this can be null, I assume. But if you're not, let's just do this, and that just keeps it safe. And then we want to ensure that the selection mode is set to single. And that's fine. We will probably also want to set the parent window. So we can do browse button.parent window, and we can just bind that to window property. Like that. Or, I guess that doesn't really work, does it? Because, yeah, we can do that then. There you go. Yeah, because we can't use get scene, because when this will actually be constructed, there won't be a scene. The scene will only exist after this component is actually added to the scene, right? So by using the scene property, we can then flat map it to get that window property. So it means once it's actually present, then it will work. So that's fine. And then this really wants me to make the path field not editable, but I disagree with that. I think that's not correct. Now, we can set a prompt text, and I don't know... Only thing I don't know, is this translatable? It seems not. Is this not a localized? It is. So how do I set it? Set localized placeholder. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Set localized placeholder. Railroad.settings.get executable path.place. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And then this set executable path null, set executable path to that. That's fine. The only thing is obviously that could throw an exception. So we do just want to try that catch set executable path to null. And then that's fine. Okay, the other thing is when the... Oh no, I guess that's fine, because when this opens the window and then they select it, that will set the text in the text field, which will then go ahead and do this, basically. So that's fine. Not a problem. The other thing we then want as well is going to be our download button. So let's have a private final RR button, which will be the download button. Okay. And we're also going to just pass in, or at least I'm going to pass in a icon here. So we'll have the localization key, and then we're also going to take in the icon, which will be font awesome. We'll go solid, and we want download like that. Okay. And then we'll just say download button dot set rounded true. We're going to do download button dot set variant button variant dot primary, I think. And then download button, we're going to want our sets on action, which we'll do that in a second to do. Okay. And then we just add all those. We want to set the spacing. Sure, I agree. Then we also want to set some priorities for the H row, which basically the H row is going to be for the text field. So we're going to want hbox dot set H row, and we're going to set that for path field and always. I actually want to just do normal hbox. Okay. I believe, anyways. I could be wrong, but I believe that's correct. And then, yeah, the other ones will space as they are needed. And then, yeah, so next is the download button. Now here, what does IntelliJ do when you press down? I assume IntelliJ does have a download thing. I think it does. Interesting. Okay. Okay, I see. Okay. So there isn't actually like a download thing that they have here then, which is interesting. But okay. That's fine. I think we can figure it out ourselves though. I think it comes up as like a prompt in the bottom right when you don't have it installed. But yeah, like we can figure this out. So we want to find, is there some kind of installer we can use? Actually, no, I think. One second. Does IntelliJ automatically install Git? IntelliJ automatically switches to Git from WSL. No. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. Does IntelliJ install Git for you? Okay. Okay, apparently, according to ChatGPT, IntelliJ does not install Git for you. So, we will have to do that. Well, it says that you shouldn't do that, because apparently it's bad, and it would just, like, break a bunch of things. So, in that case, we just want to bring to the download site, I think. Which I think... Okay, so what we can do then is we can basically just bring them to the browser for them to do that. And this will obviously be different per operating system, right? So, oh, actually, that's a good point. If I just go to the install page, interesting. Okay. Okay, so you actually have to choose your operating system. It doesn't automatically detect your operating system. That's quite sad. So that's fine, but that just means that we have to use our operating system class, and then we can just switch on it. So we can use current, and we can switch. We can say case, Windows. Then we want to use I don't think we can get the host services. No, I didn't think so. But we can use this, and then we can browse, or is it not browse? Show document. Okay, there you go. And then go to that case macOS. Now, I think it's actually just Mac. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. ChatGPT actually says that for Mac, you can like, what did it say? It said something about like putting something in the terminal, but like not running it or something. I don't know. I think we'll just go to the necessary thing, right? I think that just is easier. Let's just check that that's correct. Yep, that's correct. And then Linux as well is going to be the same. So case Linux, want to do that, and then case unknown, or I guess default, we just bring you to install. Okay. Now, is there an easier way to do this, you ask? I think yes, there is. And that would just be to say string, I'm going to call it postfix, is equal switch on operating system.current. And then we can just change this to be Windows, Mac, Linux, like that. And then basically we do string URL is equal this. It'll actually be install, not download. Not that it matters, because apparently they redirect anyways. But then we can just use get host services and show document. Now, I don't think we have a URL utils. No. So somewhere, at some point in Railroad, I've literally written a utility that opens your browser. I just don't know where I wrote it because I can't find it anymore. I have a feeling actually it's on one of the plugins that I wrote it or something. Like maybe like I don't have any of the plugins in here anymore. I don't know which one it would have been though. I don't think it would have been on the Discord plugin, but I guess it must have been. But yeah, I don't know where that went or why that's not available here, but whatever. So yeah, this will just bring you to the URL. You can do that. That's fine. And then we probably do want the same kind of thing that IntelliJ has. So some way to like test what version you're on would be nice. So how do I want to do that though? I guess for now that's fine, right? Maybe we want a check button instead, or a locate button, maybe. I don't know. Maybe what we could do actually. Yeah, I know what we could do. So we could say if path is equal null. Yeah, if path is equal null, then what the fuck? Oh no, if okay, that's fine. I was so confused, like what the hell is it doing? Yeah, that's a good point actually. So download button, we probably don't want to be visible if the so set visible, and we want to set visible to get manager dot instance dot get version is equal to null, because if it is null, then we don't want to use it. So what get version should do is it should actually go ahead and then query the version from get, basically. For now, we can return null, but obviously to do, we'll come back and actually do that. But that's fine. Okay. So if path is null, then what we want to probably do is we want to say get manager dot instance dot find get executable. If present, then we just want to set that. And then this will obviously be a method we create that will go ahead and actually find that executable. So now these are the two methods that we need to implement. So yeah, okay. Let's start with finding the get executable. I think that's going to be the easier one. Now for this, I think we're going to actually have another class, which will be get locator, because this is going to be kind of complex. There's a few things we're going to want to do here. We're going to want to try a few different methods of actually trying to locate it. None of which, of course, will be perfect, but we want something that's at least reasonable, right? So let's find an optional of a path, which will just be called sure, find get executable. Fine, that's no problem. Import, please. Thank you. Then we want to try, and I think the easiest way would be to just see if it's installed first, because obviously if it's not installed, then it's not going to find it. Yeah. Oh no. Well, if it's installed, then we can try and kind of resolve it in an easier way, right? We can try and like run commands to find it. So, for example, I think on Windows, there's one second. If we go here, I think you can do where get. Yeah. Okay. And that basically lists two of the get locations. And obviously, I guess it would just list as many as you have, right? So yeah, in that case, what we want to try and do is we want to see if we can run a command or not. And then we'll go from there. So we're going to want some kind of if can run command get and then followed by -- version, because obviously that's the easiest command to run, right? Hello Alex, welcome to the stream. And then we want an optional of a path, which will be the resolved path, and that's going to be equal to like resolve from path. And if it's present, then obviously we can just return that. Else we can just try and return I guess just optional to empty, right? Or, well, I guess we just want to return... Yeah, let's just resolve from common locations. That would be the easiest way, rather than try and do anything fancy, right? Now, else, the best way would be to just do that anyway. So actually, let's not even have that there. Let's just do... Return resolve from common locations like that. Okay, then we're going to want a way to try and see if we can run this command. So boolean can run command string ... command. Okay, I can see it's kind of done what I want. I'm going to turn off Copilot today. Because why not? We'll give it a go, right? So we're going to want to just use, basically, I mean, what it tried to do. We're going to want to just try and run the process. So process, how far are you in VCS? Not very far. We've basically just started. We've done the UI. Hopefully, we haven't tested it, but we've done the UI. The next thing is trying to locate the actual get binary, which is what we're doing now. So we use a process builder. We're taking in the command, and we want to probably redirect the error stream. And then we want to start. And then we just want to wait for it, right? So process dot wait for, and this returns an int, right? It returns a boolean. Interesting. Am I thinking of something else that returns an int? We'll try 2 seconds. I guess we could configure this though. And it'd be nice to in the settings have some like command timeout. Yeah, like here we have Java version detection timeout. We could have a very similar thing, I think. Yeah, I mean, sure, let's do it. So we'll just have a setting of long, which will be get binary, or get command, no, get binary search command timeout milliseconds. Kind of a silly setting because like you're probably just never going to use it, but regardless, do setting.builder. We'll take long.class and right, Copilot's off, isn't it? Okay. Railroad colon. Basically, just want the name of this. So get binary search command timeout milliseconds. Get binary command search timeout milliseconds. We want tree path. We're going to do VCS category, setting category dot simple dot and then railroad VCS. Codec will be a setting codecs dot or default setting codecs, right? Default setting codecs dot long and default value. Let's do 5 seconds. I think that's fine. And then build. Okay. And then we can just do settings dot that, and then we can get value. Lovely. That's gonna obviously, yeah, it doesn't particularly like that. Obviously, when we go to Java 25 or whenever it is, eventually we can do a long lowercase like this, but for the time being we can't do that, so we have to stuff it up. I mean, obviously we could do that, but that doesn't really fix it because we can't do that there, so obviously not much point at that stage. So we wait for that. That gives us a boolean. What is the boolean? Returns true if it's exited, false if the waiting time elapsed before processes exit. Okay, I see. So in that case, we want to call this boolean finished. And we want to say if it did not finish, then we need to destroy the process, right? So we want to do process dot destroy forcibly, I guess, because we don't want it to just keep running, right? And then return false. Else return the exit code being 0. So process.exit code is equal 0, or exit value, whatever. Then we can just catch on any old exception. Doesn't really matter. We don't really care. So we'll just ignore it and return false. Okay, that's fine. I mean, eventually we can maybe move this into a utility somewhere. For now, it's fine. Doesn't really matter. Should we single line that or not? I think not. I prefer it like this. I've also done seconds here. This needs to be milliseconds, because otherwise that will do 5,000 seconds, which is not what we want. Okay, so that solves that. Should we do resolve from path next, I think? Yeah, let's do that one next. So, private static, optional of a path, resolve from path. Okay, what do we want to do in here? And basically we want to have a different, so I think on Unix, now I could be wrong because I'm not an expert, but I mean I know on Linux specifically you can use which, right? So like if you go terminal, so on Windows it's where git, but I think on Linux it's which git. Can I test this? I guess I can test this. If I go WSL and run it on here. Yeah, okay, I thought so. I don't know about macOS. I assume it's the same. I have to assume it's the same. I'll do a Google though. macOS which mod. And if anyone in the chat is using Mac right now and happens to know, obviously that would be very helpful. But it does look like, just looking at this Stack Exchange post, it does look like, in fact, yes, which does exist on Mac as well. So therefore, Windows is the only different one where it uses where. Where actually just makes more sense. I don't know why Unix has decided to go with which rather than where, but whatever. So I guess we just want to do string command is equal to operating system dot current, or just is Windows, I guess. Then we can do a new string array, which will just be where git. And if we're on, I mean, actually, we can even simplify this even further, can't we? So we can just do a new string array once, and then we can just do, if it's Windows, where, else, which, right? So we don't even have to duplicate that twice. It is complaining, though. Oh, right, this needs to be a string array command. But yeah, there you go. I'm going to put this in brackets so that's a little bit easier to read, but that's fine. Okay. So then we can basically run that, and we need to collect those two lines. Now, we actually only care about the first line. But I mean, we can collect both of them. And once again, I mean, this is kind of a method where we actually probably want to put it in like some command utils. I'm actually going to do that because otherwise I'm going to forget and it's never going to happen. So let's go ahead and do this now. because we're going to have a few like command utils here. So let's make this a private final or a public final class, and with a private constructor, and this will throw a new unsupported operation exception, instantiated utility class. And then we're going to take our command or our methods. So we're going to take this one, and I'm just going to pass in wait for, okay, I'll pass in long timeout ms, and then we can just do timeout ms like that. And then in here we can use command utils.canRun command. We can pass this in like that. And I assume this just needs to be public. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's that one. And then next one will be this one. So in here, what we want to do is we just want to have a list of path, which will be find paths of executable, then string executable name. We can just pass executable name in there, and then basically do the rest of the logic like that. So then here we can do command utils dot, that also needs to be public, and we can use find paths of executable get, and we just need to map this into an optional. So is empty, then optional dot empty. Else we just want to use okay, I'm gonna make a duplicate of this method, and I'm gonna call it find path of executable, and it will return an optional, and then this can just return. So we can basically do find paths of executable name, make that a var, so that will be the list of paths, and then if paths is empty, then we can just return optional dot empty. Else we can just return optional dot of nullable paths dot get first, like that. And we can even turn this into a ternary as well, to make that a little bit cleaner. And then we can just straight up use now find path of executable like that, which makes that a lot easier to read, right? And then in here, let's finish off this find paths of executable command, or find paths, whatever. So we're going to take a list of string, which will be the lines, and that will just be run and collect lines of command. And that can be another utility method we have that will just run the command and then collect all of the lines. Nice and simple, I think. And then we'll just do lines.for. So for line in lines, we want to trim the lines first of all. So we can say, I don't know if we can reassign. So I don't know if we can do line is equal line.trim. I think we can. I think that's fine. And we probably just want to have like a list of paths is equal to a new array list, and then we can just say if not line dot is blank, Then we just want to try and pass it as a path. So try paths.add path.of line catch on an exception, and we can probably just ignore the exception, to be honest. And then just return paths. Have I done that correct? So let's see. So we take the command. If it's Windows, then it's where, else it is which. So we say where get or which get. It reads all the lines, and then it goes through each line. It trims the line. If the line is not blank, then we try and pass the line as a path. Then we add that to the paths, else we just ignore it, and then we return the paths. I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything special going on there. Hello, JCoderYT. Welcome to the stream. Okay, and then let's also implement this run and collect line. So this will return us a list of string, run and collect lines, and this will just do the exact same thing as basically the previous one did. So we can have a string. This will take in a string array, so string ... command. Let's also have a timeout here. So let's have an int timeout milliseconds, or a long timeout milliseconds, actually. We can just pass in probably the same value here, I guess. So long timeout milliseconds. And then just pass that down as well. And then, yeah, we want the same here. So we want long timeout milliseconds. And pass it down. And go in here. And I'm just going to var this. And this will be timeout milliseconds. Now, what we can just say is if timeout milliseconds is equal null, then we can first of all log a warning, because like what the hell is happening, or log an error even, because that's just not meant to ever happen. We'll come back to that. And then we'll set it to something reasonable. So we'll set it to like 5,000. I guess we can even set it to the default value, right? Well, no, we'll set it to 5,000. That's fine. So we'll straight up hard code it. But that's not really a problem, because that should never happen. This shouldn't even be possible. As a matter of fact, let's just make sure that's not possible by saying can be null false. Now, I think that's default anyways. Yeah, it is. So actually, there's no point doing that then. That's fine. Okay. So we just want to log an error message here. Copilot can write that for me because I'm terrible at coming up with good error messages. Yeah, sure, that's fine, I guess. Thank you, Copilot. Okay. So next, yeah, we can come back to here, and we just want to do basically the same thing as what we had here. Or not here. Here. But not quite the same. I mean, it's going to be very similar. I guess this part is going to be similar. The rest, not necessarily. So we'll copy what we can, and then we'll go from there. Let's also do the timeout thing. So we'll do this. Okay. What we could do is say if timeout milliseconds is not equal -1, because maybe we want to set it to -1 to like just not even care about this. We could do the same thing here. So if timeout milliseconds is not equal to -1, then do that. Would be the best way. And then, yeah, so this returns false, but obviously that's not what we want. Instead, what we want is just to return collections dot empty list. Okay. Then what we can do is we can basically just read the lines. So we're just going to do normal buffered reader, I guess. In fact, can we do files dot read lines from a... No, we can't even do a new, we can't do a buffered reader either, can we? No, because it's a path that takes in. That's fine. That just means we have to do, I mean, I think that you can use, like channels, like files dot channel, but I don't know how you do use those. So we'll just stick with the normal buffered reader. It won't really matter. So we'll do try var reader, I guess, is equal to a new buffered reader, and then that'll just take in a new input stream reader. And then what does that take in? Process dot get input stream, or get yeah, I guess we want the input stream. And then we'll also want to do standard char sets dot utf8 just to make sure we're getting it in UTF-8, of course. And then from there, we just do the normal thing, right? Which I honestly don't remember off the top of my head. What do you do? I know you have a while loop. Well, if we're going to have a while loop, then we're going to need a list of lines. Let's try and think about this. So we're going to need a list of lines, right? So lines equal a new array list. And I know we need a temporary variable for the line, and then I know we need a while loop. Is it while reader dot read is not equal to -1? Is that right? Something like that, right? Oh no. No. It's reader dot... I guess we want to read the line. We can do that, right? Yeah, we can read the line. So we can set line is equal to reader dot read line, and maybe just check that that's not blank or not. What does this return? Or null if the end of the stream has been reached. Okay, there you go. So then in that case we can just do not equal to null. If I could type, of course, which we all know I can't. And if that's the case, then we just want to do lines.add line, right? And then we just return lines. This is complaining. I don't know why this is complaining, admittedly. Oh, because we don't have the catch exception. That's fine. Also, are we missing a bracket somehow? Yeah, because we need the catch exception to be here. And in here we just want to return collections.empty list. And we'll ignore this for now. Maybe we'll come back to that and log an error, but I think that's fine. How can I contribute to Railroad? You can. I forget if we have a contributing guide or not, actually. Okay, we do have a a contributing guide. I will post it in chat. The only thing I would say is that please message in the Discord. You can join the Discord linked in the description, and in the Railroad channels, I would highly recommend you mention something in there, because yeah, otherwise we're not gonna know what you're working on, and it helps a lot to know what people are working on, so we don't, conflict, or there might be reasons we're not doing something, or certain ways we intend to have things done. So I would just strongly recommend, if you're going to contribute, that you just give us a little bit of a heads up, and we will, before you start working on it, we can say that's fine or don't do that. That's all I would say. But apart from that, I'm happy to have anyone contribute. Obviously, if you're interested in finding out things, like in terms of what to contribute, once again, join the Discord and ask. We can find you things, or more specifically, I will find you things, because there are lots of things, but a lot of them are big things. So I have to find something that's suited to obviously your skill level. But yeah, I'm sure I would be able to find anyone something that they could do. So if you're interested, just join the Discord, let us know, and we can go from there. Okay, so moving on, we've done basically all the path stuff. I mean, that should work. I don't see why that wouldn't work. So next is just resolve from common locations. Now, this is a method we are going to want in this class. And here's basically where we're just going to hard code some paths. And here is where I've got ChatGPT to give me a list of common paths. Now, it may not be perfectly accurate. We will see. But yeah, this is what I have. So first of all, we're going to need to know operating system. I think that first of all, actually, let's just return a method that gives us the list of paths, and then we'll go from there. So private static list of path, and we'll call this like candidate paths, and this will return. So we'll have just a list of paths is equal to a new array list, and then all we want to do is say if operating system is Windows, then we'll give it the Windows path. So here's where I'm going to copy the Windows ones. Okay. And I mean, we can actually do this for all drive letters as well, not just C, if we wanted to. In fact, I think that's probably fine to probably do that. Sure, let's do that actually. So what we can do for that to do it like for the right drive is so I already do this for the JDK manager, I believe. In discover JDKs in here, we have somewhere I have a drive letter thing. Maybe it's at the top actually. Yeah, here you go. Here you go. So we have drive. Trying to just see where it actually... this is what I was looking for. Okay. So what we can do is we can do this. So from C to Z. we want to know if the root exists, and then if the root exists, then we can basically do these shenanigans, right? So we can do how do we want to do this? I guess I can do like a string array of base paths is equal to a new string array, and then I can just pass these in like this. So if I get rid of all of this, okay, and then just change these to be commas, and then replace this with drive. And then there's also one more, it reckons, for Windows, which is this. Okay. Obviously, this isn't going to be a perfect system, but it should be okay. And then we can do base paths.for. And at that point, we can do this. So that gets us the path, and then we can do paths.add and add that in. And then the other thing we can do is to use a scoop, apparently, which I don't know what that is. But there you go. There's that one done as well. So that's Windows. And then the next one is macOS/Linux. So we will do else, and we'll do paths.add. In fact, can I just copy this? I guess I can copy this, can't I? So we can get rid of these comments because that's pretty obvious. But those should be the ones for those, and then just return paths. Okay, and then what we can do in here is basically just find the first one, I suppose. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. So we just have a list of path, which will be the paths, is equal to a candidate paths, and then we want to go through and basically, so we'll do paths.for path in paths, if files.exists path, and files dot is executable path, we want to also check that it's a regular file path. Probably do that before we check if it's executable though. Okay. Then what we want to do is we want to say return optional .of path. One thing we can do actually is check that path is not equal to null as well. Not that that should ever happen, but might as well just do that. And then just return optional.empty. There we go. And that should be it. So that should allow us to find the get executable. So yeah, here we just return get locator dot find get executable. Which I now think maybe that just doesn't need to exist, does it? Because that's just unnecessary. And then so in here we can just use get locator .find get executable. And we're going to just plonk this in the main class. So just want to see where we load the settings. So we load the settings here. So here is where we want another initialization step. And currently these aren't like translatable. I don't know if that's even possible because of languages being loaded here. Probably not, unfortunately. But I think that's fine. So here we just want, after we restore the settings, what we want to do is we want to find the get executable. So locating get binary. We'll call it get executable. And what this will do is this will just do well, first of all, we want to see if it already has been found. So we can do settings dot get executable path, and we want to check if this exists. So we'll do get optional, and if we can't say like if it's not present, can we? We'll do optional path and then say if optional path is empty, then we're going to do this, and then if that's present, then we do settings dot get executable set value, like that. That needs to be a comma. There you go. We could probably take this to a function as well. So if we extract this to a method and just call this load get executable into settings, like that. And then we just want to refactor move members, and we can move this into get manager. There you go. Okay. Nice. Okay. Should we test this, I guess? I mean, that's the next thing to do, right? To test it? Are we using... We're not using this yet, right? Oh, we are. Okay. Okay, that's fine, actually. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, you know what? Let's run it. Let's run it. And see what happens. It should... Oh, pardon me. It should find the get executable on our computer. Or on my computer. But obviously we'll see. I shouldn't have ran it in just debug mode. There was no point, was there? It's just going to take ages to load now. Yeah, and then after this, probably that is when I will end the stream, because as I said earlier, it's going to be a shorter stream than usual. I said 3 hours instead of 4. Wait. How are we only going for 2.25 hours? Oh, yeah, because I start at 7, not at 6, don't I? For some reason, I was thinking I start at 6. No, I don't. We start at 7. So, okay, only 2 hours then, instead of 3 hours. So, okay, here we go. So I'm going to go settings, and hopefully in here it hasn't found anything, interestingly enough. I wonder why. What does this do? Okay, so that does bring me to the Git page on my browser, and presumably this lets me... Oh! Okay, interesting. So that actually brought me to the Git folder. So maybe it is actually in there then. Okay, I can fix this one later, but and actually we can fix that now. I guess just say one thing I can quickly do this. If file chooser is equal null, return. So that is what it's saying, right? Oh, no, that's not what it's saying. It's saying that this is returning null, and then getting absolute path is what's erroring. So if I just do file, and say if file is equal null, return. And I assume we want to do the same here, right? This can't... Those files are null if no file has been selected. Okay, never mind. We also want to do the same thing here. So files, and then I can say if files is equal null, return. And I'm going to do the same here, I'm guessing. So I don't know how these haven't been fixed. I don't know how it's taken this long for someone to find this. And for that person to be me is kind of crazy, but it is what it is, I suppose. File, if file is equal null, return. Like that. And then do this one down here. Files, if files is equal null, return. Okay. That just fixes that small little error. That's not what's causing the issue, of course, but that does help a little bit. So what's it saying here then? So it has actually given us an error by the looks of it. Get executable path returned null from to JSON. Interesting. That's correct though, no? Oh, I see. This should be a new JSON null. Or I assume that's a constant, actually. JSON null dot instance. That's probably why it broke, I imagine. But what we can do real quick before this runs is I'm just going to plonk a breakpoint in here, and then we can figure out what's going on. Actually, you know what it is? Wait, no, I don't know what it is. Okay, anyways, 5,000, that's fine. So we want to see if we can run the command first of all. So let's go into here. Let's start up the process. Okay. Finished is equal true. So process.exit value is 0, so that's true. So that continues. So then it does find path of executable. Then it goes into find path of executable. It rips the command, which is where get, and it runs and collects the lines. I guess we'll step into this as well. Finished is equal true. Reader, so it takes the line. Okay, so that's got the 2 lines. Returns the lines. Okay, then it goes paths. It trims the line. If it's not blank, it adds the line, and it does that for the next one. Comes back to here. So paths is not empty. So it returns that. Returns that. And so that should then set the value of settings.getExecutable-path. So let's press play. Okay, let's go console again, just see if there's any errors it's come across. So I don't think there is, but okay, that's fine. So now I'm going to go to the settings and go VCS and nada, not working. But it is there. It's clearly there because when I press browse, it brings me to that folder. I think it's because in here, I'm not setting the path field, am I? So like here, what I should really be doing is I should say, oh well, No, I'm going to do this down here, this setter down here. I'm going to set that at the very bottom, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do path field dot text property, and I'm going to bind that to executable get executable path dot as string, like that. And I can probably hot swap that, I imagine. So if we now close that and go back into the settings. Nice. Okay, good. So that has actually worked then. Okay, in that case, let's add all of these to the lang, and then we're going to end the stream there. So I'm just going to bring this over to my other monitor, and then we can go to the lang. So lang enus. Okay, and we're probably going to want a whole new section for Git, but it will be inside the settings. So these are all settings, IDE settings. Okay, so we'll do it here. So we'll do VCS settings, and we're going to want, let's first of all do settings.tree.vcs, which will be equal to VCS. And then we have railroad.settings.vcs.title, which will be equal to VCS. And then we'll have railroad.settings.vcs.description, which will be settings relating to VCS version control systems, such as Git. And then we have railroad.settings.vcs.get _binary _command _search _timeout ms.title, which will be equal to get binary search command, or search command timeout milliseconds. MS. Sure. I don't know. We can come back and obviously refine these in the future. These are kind of the least important things. Underscore binary underscore command underscore search underscore timeout underscore description. The time in milliseconds to wait when running the command that searches for the get for the executable for the get binary for the get binary executable. Binary is a little bit redundant there, but it's fine. And then we have railroad.settings.vcs .get executable path.title will be equal to the get executable path, and then I'm just going to copy this one. Which will be, we'll do the text field first, I guess. I actually can't edit the text field. Okay. That is a problem. That's because I've bound this, I think. So I guess what I need to do is actually add a listener. So add listener. And then I need to go pathfield.set text, and I need to set that to new value.toString, but only if it's not null. So therefore, I probably want to do objects.toString new value, or I guess new value equal null, then blank or that. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, and then that way I can still add this one in here. Get executable path.placeholder, which will be equal to path to your get executable binary. Is that too long? No, that's fine. And then, oh, interesting. This needs to be VCS. And then also the friggin' download one is wrong, so this needs to be VCS. VCS.get executable. Okay. Get executable path. That's fine. In fact, don't I have I think I have download at the top somewhere. No? I really should. I really should have a generic download, shouldn't I? Railroad.generic.download equal download. And then I can just use railroad.generic.download. I'm actually shocked I don't have that one. But whatever, that's fine. Is that fine? No, that goes over. Ugh. That's annoying. Okay. Wait, where's my friggin... Okay, thank you. So now I don't need this one. I instead just need the description, which is path, the path to the get executable binary. That's fine. And then yeah, that's all of them. So if I now go ahead and rerun, that should fix all of those. Let's see. Give it a second to start up. And I'm just quickly also going to put, whilst we're waiting for this, I'm just going to put the VCS system in progress on GitHub. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's get rid of you because you just don't need to be there anymore. Okay, and if we go settings, VCS, nice. That's all fine. Okay, so I am now going to go ahead and end the stream here. I hope you all enjoyed. And yeah, we'll be live again next weekend. We'll do Industria again on Saturday, and we'll do Railroad on Sunday. There may also be a stream at some point during this week. We will see, but I think there probably will be, and there may even be two. I may do an Industrial stream some point this week, and also possibly a Railroad stream some point this week, because I feel like I'm a little bit behind on both at the moment. So I'd like to catch up a little bit with them, and I think that's probably the best way to do that. Hopefully next weekend also the streams will be back to normal length. We will see. But yeah, I'm going to end it here, and I will see you all whenever I next stream. Goodbye.